Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for coming. We do this every single month. This has become our home spot. We talk on everything from fix and flips to title to taxes to long-term buy and hold, short-term rentals. Yes, we do video it. So if you don't want to be in the video, try not to look at the camera because it's going to be all over the place. My name is Cassidy Burns. I am the owner of BPG. We have BPG Holdings, which is our acquisitions company. BPG Residential. We have a few agents in here where we do residential and commercial brokerage. BPG Property Management, a property management firm, and then also AVEC Construction, which is a Virginia and DC Class A licensed contracting company. Today we have Chris Clark with Summit Homes. We're going to talk about everything fix and flips. We're going to get more into the business side rather than just talking about what finishes to use, where you want to buy, but we're going to talk about how to actually run a fix and flip business. So what we like to always start this with is thank you guys for coming. We want you guys to come here, grab value from the information that you learn, but also more importantly, build relationships with the individuals that are in this room. Everybody here is interested in real estate and or actively doing real estate. So you can do deals with individuals that are in this room right now today. So we like to go first. Who here is doing active fix and flips? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guys here. Who owns long-term rentals? All right, a lot of people. Short-term rentals. Short-term rentals. Who's in property management? All right, who's in construction? GC work, construction. Who is, what am I missing? Lenders and title. How do you get the money? Who's lending money, off market, hard money? All right, so as you can see, everybody in here, and who I guess is trying to buy their first one or looking to get into their first one, right? That's okay too, right? Sometimes we touch on complex concepts. That's all right. We all had to start somewhere. You learn from the individuals that are in the room. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure that you remember who raised their hand. Let's talk about fix and flip. So like I said, Chris Clark, Summit Homes, has done over 60 little over 60 projects. He's in the high-end market. He's not buying in the Dean Woods, the Anacostas of the world. His price point, I would probably say, is $1 million plus on the ARV, right?
Yes.
Yes. I'll let you kind of do a little introduction.
Yeah. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for coming out. Like Cassidy said, my name is Chris Clark. I'm the owner of Summit Homes. We specialize in buying distressed properties, renovating, and reselling them, which is a fancy way of saying I flip houses. Bought my first deal in 2017, and like we just said, done a little over 60 since then. So a little over 60 in the past 6 or 7 years. Primarily DC row homes, although I've done a few condo conversions, detached single family, and then some stuff in Northern Virginia as well.
And just so you know, I did bring my entire family. Chase he's 19 months old, and Camden is 20 days old. He's brand new, and Mama back there as well. So you guys are you've all volunteered to be babysitters this evening because our babysitter canceled on us. So thank you for that. But let's go ahead and get started about fix and flips, how you run a business, and more importantly, how to actually make money on this business. So first question I have for you is, how are you incorporated with your fix and flip business?
So I have, I guess I would call it an operating LLC that's named Summit Homes. And then for each transaction, I set up an individual LLC. So typically just the address LLC.
Got it. So I'll elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah.
So you have 2 LLCs. Holding LLC buys the property. All the operating money comes from operating account into invest into holding LLC. Correct? No.
Yes.
Yes. Got it. Okay. So he's not running it through his personal checking account, right? If you're doing fix and flips, he's not buying it with his personal money under his name, Chris Clark. He's buying it under 123 ABC Street LLC. Summit Homes is the developer, right?
Summit Homes owns that LLC.
Owns the LLC.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And it is an LLC or an S corp? How are you filing with your taxes?
It's an LLC.
Got it. So an LLC.
Yeah, single member LLC.
Single member LLC. So does everybody have questions about that? Complex stuff. we have accountants if you want to learn more about that, about how to structure. Don't just go start LLCs just because. Make sure that you have people that are giving you legal advice on it. All right. You have the LLC started. You found the property, or you think that you found the property. How are you finding properties right now? And what is the next step after it's been identified?
Yeah, so I mean, you can find deals in so many different ways. Right now, I've really leaned into working with agents to help bring me the opportunities. Agents are out there every day talking to buyers, talking to sellers, talking to other agents. So they control a lot of deals that get done. And so I really try to network and meet as many agents as possible. I incentivize them to bring me opportunities, by letting them know that I'll pay you as a buyer's agent when I buy it. And then, 12 months later when it's time to sell, or 10 months later when it's time to sell, obviously you're going to be kept on as a listing agent as well.
Okay.
So incentivizing them through, double commissions. And I would say that right now, that's probably the number one way that, I'm finding these opportunities. Wholesalers is something I've always got deals from. Wholesalers find a lot of nice opportunities as well. Typically I try to work with wholesalers who don't have massive marketing lists. So, like Market Pro or Four Brothers, they blast out their deals to tens of thousands of buyers probably. And so those are, they get pretty competitive and overpriced in my opinion. So I try to find wholesalers that have a handful of clients they like to work with, and maybe you can get a better purchase price on those. I used to do a lot of direct to seller marketing.
Why not do it in-house?
Yeah, it's quite expensive, and honestly, I sucked at it. So I spent a lot of money on direct mail. Never bought anything from direct mail. Got very few leads from direct mail. So maybe I was just bad at it. Maybe I was sending it to the wrong people. I don't know. I also had people cold call for me, and then they would, identify a lead, and then I was supposed to follow up with them. I didn't have time to follow up with them. I also hated following up with them. So that didn't work out very well either. So I said, you know what? I suck at finding my own deals. I'm just going to, network with people who have the deals.
And I would say those are two different skill sets.
Yes.
And those are two different businesses. The wholesaler, the acquisitions guy, the guy that's out in the streets knocking on doors is a lot different than the developer that understands ARVs, the cost to build, and the cost to acquire.
And those leads need to be massaged.
Correct.
For long, long periods of time. You're not just making one phone call and getting the deal done. And I just didn't have the time to work those leads properly. So probably like 12 months ago, I said, you know what, I suck at this. I'm going to stop wasting my money on direct to seller marketing. Although I did try it for quite some time.
But how much time did you get back from not doing that?
Probably 10 hours a week. Yeah.
And no stress. You know that as long as you're reaching out to the realtors, if you guys follow him on social, that's more where your marketing is going.
Yeah,
it's
so
realtors bring it.
Yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, I've kind of leaned into that a lot recently. I used to, try to network with agents through going to these events or, calling them. I saw someone who had a nice listing, call them, introduce myself. I kind of realized, look, I can just post on my Instagram. I have content created for me, so I do spend money on that. But if I post interesting content, agents will follow me, and 1,000 agents will see it. And that's saves me a lot more time than going to 20 networking events a month or making 100 phone calls to a bunch of agents. So right now, I've kind of put a lot of my marketing money towards Instagram content.
And every agent, we have brokerage. Every agent to sell is in product. So you're doing good quality, which makes the higher end agents, the ones that want to sell 1.3+ million price points. It's really easy for me to get 2 listings by bringing Chris the dilapidated one.
And every agent in the country is on Instagram. So everyone that I need to talk to is on there. It's not like I'm trying to market to a distressed seller who's 80 years old and behind on their taxes. They're not on Instagram. So my audience is, so that's why it kind of works for what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a little pitch here. So we have a listing. We just got a listing agreement signed for a distressed property. I think you already looked at it.
Maryland?
not Maryland Ave, this place. This was in Petworth. So Petworth, we've had this in our pipeline for 4 weeks, right? But today, Peter and I went to the seller's house and signed the listing agreement paperwork in person because she had never been on the internet. Remember, she said that, right? She signed it. She signed it. She had a flip phone. She used the flip phone, and we used Peter's phone because there's no electricity in the house to sign the contract in person. That's what it takes. But for me, I already told Chris about it because I knew that I had this in my pipeline that we was going to be off market. It is an estate sale. But the fact of the matter is, and the point of that is, he would have never reached her. I reached her through an estate attorney who we work with that sends us dilapidated properties because he knows we work with guys like Chris. 727 Otis Place. It'll be available if you guys are interested in a project. Obviously, Chris doesn't think it's a good deal. So all right. So let's go to that. The reason that you don't think it's a good deal, you're basing everything. We've had a lot of conversations about price per square foot. That's what you are analyzing most of your build cost at. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, so construction costs have really skyrocketed over the past. What that's still legitimate, as everyone says. And so everything just, I used to estimate like $120 to $130 a square foot max. Like if I was spending $150K a square foot, I was like, I'm getting fucking screwed right now. And now like the contractors I used to pay like 120 a square foot. It's now like 200, 225 square foot. So I mean, everything is just more expensive on a construction basis.
So does everybody understand that? So when he's looking at ARV of the project, he wants to build. If he knows most of his projects are at $200 a square foot, you do okay. There's 3,000 square foot of buildable space times 200. That is going to be a very good ballpark of what the cost of construction is going to be. That can include permits.
It's a good estimate. It's a good quickly realize properties. Obviously, if you're going to do something different, like put a pool in, or there's a ton of exterior space that's going to be a lot of additional costs, and it's not going to work well. But for like an interior,
and that's that you have a very particular price point. What is your ideal ARV price point? Obviously, you want to make as much money as possible. Like, where's your sweet spot?
It was hot. Like got hotter up until 2021, and there's pretty much no neighborhood where you could miss it. So I was buying shit everywhere. Marshall Heights, which those are lesser neighborhoods, across the Cassidy River. And then the past 18 months or so, obviously the market in DC has changed quite a bit. So I've become a lot more selective with the neighborhoods I'm buying in. I really want to be in the neighborhoods that are still desirable. So in my opinion, that's like Capitol Hill, AU Park, Spring Valley. There's several, but there's definitely less than there used to be. So that's kind of where I'm looking now. In terms of like what price point I'm looking at, I'm not as firm on, the price of the purchase price or the ARV, just in terms of location. Like if you have that sheet, you'll see that I bought one for $400,000 this year and sold it a few months later for $800,000. So those are, that's a lower numbers than all the other ones on there, but it was a pretty good location. So I was still open to that.
And if you guys, there's a QR code on there with one of his end projects, so you can see what finish level he's using to get those ARVs. Because in the end, we talk about avatars a lot when you're in this business, whether it's a short-term rental, who's the person that's coming to stay in your vacation home, who's going to be your tenant in your long-term rental. He's looking at who's his buyer, what's their job, how much money do they make, how much money do they have. I know you have a good story about one of the flips that you've done. They sent you the bank account.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that one was a bit wacky. And kind of not going to be the best story to the point you were trying to make. I thought it was going to be a family home for sure. It had like 6 bedrooms, big ass house in Old Town. I was like, this is going to be a family home, probably someone with 3 or 4 kids that wants to live in Old Town. And we're getting ready to list it for 2.2. And the day before I listed it, some agent reached out to me and said, hey, we see you're coming soon. We have someone who really wants to see it. Can we see it, before you take it active? I was like, sure, whatever. It was some old rich lady who sold her company back in like the .com boom, whatever the hell that is. And she cashed in for like 500 mil. So a single old lady bought my 5,000 square foot home in Old Town. But her proof of funds was her bank account, which had like $300 million in it. I'll never forget. I was like, Jesus Christ!
I'm like, trying to make 100.
What a flex! And so once I saw that, I was like, look, if you want it that bad, I'm not even on the market yet. You're gonna have to pay 2.5.
Did she do it?
And we agreed at 2.45. So
she gave up all of her leverage.
Yeah,
literally.
I was like, you don't care about 200 grand. Just give it to me, dude. She had like a daughter, and that was it. Just a single lady living in.
All right, so yes, that's great. Now, next thing, and this is going to directly affect everything. And we can't talk about real estate sales, brokerage without the new NAR settlements that's affecting commissions. Do you have any thoughts on how you're going to operate your business with agents with that? Because now technically, as of August 17th, you no longer have to market that you are paying a buyer's broker commission on the MLS.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done like a deep dive, to be honest, but I feel like for me, I am going to continue to pay buyer's agents. I mean, the agents I've spoken to that have already, had real life scenarios where, they're sending their clients five properties that fit their criteria. And they've said, 3 of these, are offering to pay my commission as a buyer's agent. For a conversation, we said, if the seller's not going to pay it, you're going to pay it. Do you want to go see those? And they say, no, cross those 2 off the list. We're going to go look at the 3 where the seller's paying your commission. So, I mean, unless we get back to like a 2021 market where you don't need a buyer's agent or, it's just so competitive that it doesn't matter. I feel like I'm just going to continue business as usual and pay the buyer's agent 2.5% or 3%.
And that's everybody has how you operate your business. His value is he wants loss, right? He wants to make sure that every individual who bought the house buys it. It doesn't really matter as long as you hit your net profit. Next.
I feel like seller's market, maybe a different answer to that question, but especially in DC right now, in my opinion, it's mostly a buyer's market. So I'm trying to keep the buyers looking at my listing, not turn away from it.
Talk on that. So are you getting low balls, giving seller concessions? Right now, your current active projects.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really neighborhood specific, but I've had a couple projects go pretty south on me recently. And one of them was in Petworth. That's probably why I didn't look at yours that closely.
Salt still in the mouth.
Yes, but like sold for way less than what I thought it would. It took 6 months to sell. So yeah, I definitely think it's a buyer's market. I think properties are sitting longer and selling for substantially less than they did 2 years ago. At least in DC, I think Virginia's a different story. Virginia seems to have chugged along completely unaffected by interest rates. But I think DC's struggling. People are moving out of the city. They're not going to the office anymore. The crime is not great. So